let's see. The first thing is you gave me a quote about being helpful from A Course in the Miracles. Can you?
Yeah, the way I remember it is it's like a mantra or prayer that you can repeat every day. It said, I'm here only to be truly helpful. I don't have to be considerate of what I say or what I do, because he who sent me will guide me, and I will heal as I allow myself to be healed. So for me, that represents the idea that I heal by forgiving myself for what I've made of other things. And that's truly helpful to me and to everyone around me, versus coming into a situation and saying, well, I know what you should be doing, and I know what I should be doing or shouldn't doing, and therefore you don't really, the only help you need is from me.
So you become an authority in their life.
Yeah. And the only problems exist are authority problems, another Course in Miracles quote. So when I make something outside of me the authority to tell me whether I'm good or bad, right or wrong, that creates a problem for me. Because now I have to figure out how to get that thing to approve of me and like me. And as I well know, and I believe you well know, that's difficult. I like what Byron Katie says, it's my job to like me. If you don't like me, that's okay. That's my job.
That is such a hard concept to get hold of, because, at least for me, it's been because I've so sought external validation
Me too.
to make up for my programming of not being enough.
Yeah, and I believe that as a child, I experienced what I thought was a tremendous loss, and have been compensating for that ever since. And the loss occurred through relationship. And the way for that loss for me to be reconciled is through relationship. And by forgiving the kid in me for what he believed about himself, and forgiving others for what they seem to believe about me, that's the way I restore myself to sanity. I don't know of another way, personally. That's worked for me. That's working for me.
Because otherwise, you're going to constantly be seeking something outside. And when that thing fails you, you're back to square one.
That's my codependency mantra: seek, find, lose. So once you've lost it, you grieve it. Now it's seek a new fancy special thing. Find it. Now you have it, then lose it. Ouch.
That applies to both people and things.
Yeah. Any relationship. All my problems have been created in relationship. All of my insanity has been created through relationship. Therefore, all of my sanity and healing comes through relationship.
But when you say that, are you talking about relationship with another, or relationship with yourself?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, because another thing that Course offers is you're only teach is to demonstrate, and I'm only ever demonstrating one of two things: what I believe I am and what I believe you are to me. That's all I'm ever doing. So when I'm talking, I'm telling people what I currently believe I am. And when I'm interfacing with you and you're talking to me, I'm experiencing what I believe you are to me. And with that in mind, that's what's creating my experience. So if I believe I'm less than you, I behave one way.
Mm-hmm.
If I believe you're less than me, I behave another way. This is why, again, the Course teaches behavior modification is the poorest, is a waste of time. It's the mind that's sick, because the mind has adopted you've allowed the mind to adopt misperceptions of what you are, fundamentally. And you're trying to reconcile sickness with more sickness. You're trying to cure your illness with more illness.
In a sense, more thinking,
more thinking about what's wrong.
judging.
Yeah. When I'm thinking about what's wrong, I'm practicing insanity. That's all.
Explain that a little more.
That's what I loved about when I studied AA was the founders of AA said you won't necessarily going to get your health back. You're not going to get your relationship back. It doesn't. This program does not guarantee you one thing, but anything but one thing: your sanity. Mm-hmm. And sanity to me is I have done this to myself. Even as a child, yes, I was naive. I didn't know better. I wish my parents were these enlightened beings who were like, you are the perfect thought of love and form.
Well, your father certainly was the epitome of love and unconditional
right?
compassion.
But I did it. I can undo it. That requires to me vulnerability and humility to go, oh, I've done this to myself. I've believed these judgments about myself, about God, about nature, about Republicans, about Democrats, about women, about men, about whatever it is, political parties. Every time I believe something that says this is that, this is this specific thing and this is right or wrong, I experience suffering. And that's insanity to me. And it's the gift that I believe we've been given of free will to say I can choose to believe something that isn't true and then experience the absence of truth in my body, in my nervous system, in my mind, and feel like something's wrong. Right? Something's wrong. My body's even going, ah. And I think it's this thing that's causing it, but it's not. What's causing it is my perception of that thing. I'm not talking about somebody coming at you with a chainsaw. Get away. Go ahead, chop me up with a chainsaw. No thanks. I'm talking about mental. Like so much of our mental, most of us are not being physically threatened anymore on a daily basis. We're not children. But what we're experiencing is the suffering of constantly imagining something going wrong or something being wrong. And then we're trying to control and manipulate our environment to make it better, which is only compounding it. So for me, eventually, I believe we exhaust ourselves. We completely have tried every illusion to solve our problems, and we realize, and that's why I say go for it. Like if you're in the middle of chasing something, chase it wholeheartedly. Be clear, because that's a quicker way to figure out that it's not going to work for you than it is to pretend like you don't want things. And when you get to that place, then the only thing left to do for me is to forgive myself constantly.
Speak a little bit about the innocence behind all that.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all after. I think as adults who have believed judgments and therefore have judged, we feel an absence of our innocence, which we call guilt. To me, guilt is the denial of innocence. I'm denying innocence because I believe something happened to me that shouldn't have happened, or something happened to them that shouldn't have happened, or something should have happened to me that didn't happen. So we're obscuring our innocence. And then when we look out at the world, we just see guilty, not guilty, good, evil, right, wrong. I think that's the norm for most of us. At some point, you wear out. You're just worn out. So that's why I believe some people kill themselves, whether passively or aggressively. They just don't see any point in living anymore because the world doesn't seem to have anything to offer them. I think that's a helpful step. But if you don't wonder, is there a world within me that perhaps is whole and complete and innocent? Is there something in me that's been untouchable? No one's ever tainted this part of me. It's just been silently waiting for me to have my dream and have my nightmares and run through this, like Alice down the hole, and then to go, Oh, I'm right here. I'm right here. What I am is always here. It's always been here. It's just been quiet. And it hasn't interfered with my dream. It hasn't been punching me and saying, you better wake up. So it's just been waiting. One of my favorite passages is from Way of Mastery. It says, the Father consciousness with you sees nothing but the splendor of what you are, and it sits and waits for you to awaken. I remember the first time I read that, I was like, oh, that hit me like, wow. If that's true, wow. So I don't have to give up. I don't have to say life is meaningless. What I can say is the world and people don't have anything for me but to reflect back to me what I either know or believe to be true about myself. And as I have been willing to acknowledge, this is my mantra every day, especially when I find my mind going into the past and trying to relive experiences, whether I consider them good or bad, I say, I am spirit, I am whole, I am innocent. Everything I have experienced up until now is released and forgiven. It's all released. And I just hold that. I keep holding that. My mind goes quiet. And I'll be in this really nice, serene place. And then the mind something will happen. The mind will kick in again and it wants to go back into the past. And it's like, well, what about this? Hey, mind, guess what? I am spirit. You are whole. You exist in wholeness and innocence. You are released. I am released. They are released. We are all forgiven. And I just hold that. And I remember yesterday, I'm walking in the warehouse where I work. I'm feeling the mind like, something's wrong. Look where you are. You're all alone in this big warehouse with windshields everywhere.
Glass.
Your job is to organize a warehouse. I'm like, I looked at one of the guys before he left. I said, men of old age, would they laugh at us to see that men spend their lives in places like this now? But it doesn't matter the place. It's a perfectly neutral place. And I remember I looked over out the warehouse door and the most beautiful sunrise. I mean, the sky and the moon was like barely lit and Venus is right over it and the sky is beautiful. And I just started to weep. It's perfect. I didn't orchestrate that. I didn't make that happen. Everything that's happening is happening, it seems mysteriously and almost spontaneously. And it's only because I've believed I'm guilty and done something wrong and other people have that I can't see what's right in front of me. It's like the story of Lot's wife. Don't look back. She looks back and she's frozen. The fight, freeze, faint, fight, whatever it is that we happen when I'm afraid. I'm literally frozen and my mind is frozen to the past. My mind's rehearsing. I should have done this. I should have done that. They should have done. And I can spend my whole day, even while I'm in the midst of picking up windshields and doing all these, I can be literally lost in my mind in the past the whole day. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, all I've done is recognize I don't have to do that. I don't have to let the mind wander. I can stop the mind in its tracks and say, hey, mind, be still. No. I am God, not this body, not this person. The I am within me, that awareness is what I consider God. And it's always here and it's always with me and I'm always loved and I'm always cherished and I'm always whole and I'm always innocent. And the only thing that could interfere with that is if I choose to not forgive. That's the only thing that can interfere with it. If I say, you know what, I'm going to pick up this judgment again and I'm going to throw it into the water. Or I can say, I've picked up that judgment ad infinitum, infinitum, whatever that word is, no thanks. I choose to forgive. I love what the Course says, that the forgiveness is is an illusion, but it's the only illusion that leads us to healing. Because it's an illusion that's willing to say, I forgive myself for my illusions. I forgive myself for what I've made of you. I release you and I release myself. And as I continually do that, I don't have to change my behavior. I don't have to try and fix you. I don't have to try and make sure Doug, doesn't slip back into anything. Doug, my dad, is always offering me the opportunity to either face my judgments or respond with love. I hear you. I understand. Me too. Or I can go, Doug, Dad, if you just didn't see people that way, if you just gave up that, this and that, you would be a better person. I'm judging you. That doesn't work.
That's very hard to let go of. And I guess that's the ego that wants to be right and judge. And
I think it makes it hard because, it's like the Course says, our mind is reversed. Our mind believes what is truly good for us, it will hurt us. That if I'm vulnerable and I forgive, I'm opening that kid in me to get hurt again. And I think that's what I've done. I'll speak for myself. I have tried to avoid the pain the child experienced, believing that judgment and defending myself and creating this great persona is what will keep him safe. But I'm locked him into that avoidant pattern, and everything I'm doing is to help him avoid that, which is only strengthening the terror within him. He becomes more and more convinced that what is good is bad. Right? Imagine Donald Trump just getting up and going completely vulnerable and just being honest with all of us. This is what I believed about myself. This is what I've believed about the world my whole life. And I realized I have been judging and it's hurt me. And I've heard I've condoned to a lot of other people hurting themselves. And I want to acknowledge this. What would people do with that? It would be a miracle. But that's the miracle I can give myself. I don't have to go out and tell everyone that, but I can be honest with myself and say, look what I've done to myself. Look what I've made of you. I haven't hurt you. I've put the hurt I believe that's happened to me onto you. And I've asked you to hurt too so that I can feel okay. And you've been willing to do that. Thank you. And I no longer wish to do that with you. I don't wish to hurt anymore. I don't wish you to be hurt. I wish to enjoy you. Therefore, I forgive you. It's self-honesty to me. I'm convinced that the only reason I'm not in relationship with everyone in my life who I've ever enjoyed is because I, at some point, decided not to be vulnerable with myself. I chose to judge them rather than be vulnerable, and therefore it's seemingly in time and space, ended the relationship with them. But they're still all in my dreams. They're still all people that I think about. So for me, vulnerability is the willingness to be honest with myself about what I desire. What do I truly desire? That's the way of mastery. It's like the primary thing. It says, the only thing God asks himself, herself, whatever, what do I truly desire? Well, first it's like, well, I want to be famous. I want to have money. I want to have a beautiful woman. I want to have all these things. Okay. And then you have them and you realize you think you have them, but you can't keep them because they're all created in time and space and in appearances. And we see that time and space and appearances are all appearing and disappearing endlessly. Oh, well then what do I really want? I want to feel, for me, it's peace. First and foremost, it's peace. I want to feel at peace. I want to feel calm. I want to feel present. I want to be able to move through life and not feel threatened, not feel So vulnerability for me has allowed me to be honest with myself about when I'm not feeling when I'm saying, I don't feel at peace. Why do I not feel at peace? Well, my mind goes, well, it's because look at these people. If they weren't idiots, if they weren't driving like this, talking like this, acting like this, I wouldn't feel this way. That to me is the great trap of the illusion of the ego versus going, I have so perfectly judged these people in this environment as being wrong. No wonder I don't feel at peace. Because I'm making an appearance here and this place is hell. And I've made it hell. I'm the devil of this hell. I remember my last time I did mushrooms, I heard this thing came out of me, this voice came out of me and it said, you are waking up from a terrible dream. And I just wept. Wept. Yes. Yes, I'm waking up out of a terrible dream. A dream of hell and of demons and of Antichrist and of Mark of the Beast and of Armageddon and of nuclear bombs and of just people just being terrible to each other and complete annihilation of the planet. That's what I'm waking up from, you know. I was born in 1975. I was born at the height of the Cold War. Well, not the height, but right in the heart of that Cold War where everyone's like, you know, basically, so, you know, the pastor's going, you know, there'd be a nuclear war here and you're not right with God. That's not vulnerable. I mean, that's like the reverse of, that's like the ego's form of vulnerability is if Putin was different, I wouldn't feel this way. No. Putin's just being himself. He's just being true to what he believes is true. Putin has no ability to affect me unless I think and believe that he and this should be different. Now, of course, any person in their right mind looks at Putin and goes, oh, I know that same energy in me. I just don't have the means to express it the way he does. I haven't been as committed to him, to my ego, in that way as he has. I've been committed to my ego. I'm my own Putin in my own ways. There's plenty of people out there who probably think I'm a Putin, you know, I've been a Putin too. Putin. So again, all vulnerability is to me is acknowledging this is what I feel, this is what I want, and I recognize I only am experiencing the loss of anything good because I have judged this. So beloved thing, whether I say it to you, your face or not, most people I don't say it to their face, I just do it inwardly. I say, when I feel like threatened by someone, I say, you know what, I forgive you, my friend. I forgive you my judgments. I don't forgive you for what you're doing. I don't forgive you for judging me. I forgive you for how I've judged you. By forgiving you my judgments, I release you, and in releasing you, I'm released. My judgments, not anybody else's, I'm responsible for. Somebody else could totally judge me, and I'm okay with it because I understand. They're asking for love. A judgment says there's no love here. So to me, really what a judgment's saying is, well, can love miraculously show up? And I believe for the people here that are waking up, one of the ways that we serve spontaneously is people come to us and they judge us and we don't react the same way. We forgive and they go, what was that? I remember one time this guy, I pulled in front of this guy on the freeway and he was flipping me off and I just held my thumb up and then he went from the bird, he was like the bird, and he went, and I just held it like, I know that wasn't cool. I cut in front of you, but thank you. And he went from the bird to thank you. I think that's the same thing when somebody, when we're walking around and you're just like this to everybody and you meet someone who doesn't respond with that, they respond with, I get it, I understand. I know that's hard. I'm with you. Like, I trust your bird. I trust that you're just being true to what's true to you right now. I get it, I'm with you. That person goes, what was that? And that's one of my favorite things the Course says. I cannot change anyone's mind. I can do two things. I can rejoice with those who have. And two, I can offer those who are yet still considering a change of mind what a change of mind looks like. That's it. I can't change you. I can't heal you. I can't fix you. I can't make you better. All I can do is say to you, I totally understand. Me too. I've been there. I've done that. This seems really hard for you. And I'm so glad that you're willing to share this with me right now. I'm with you 100%. And I know you're going to find your way out, because you too, like me, are going to wear yourself out. And then you're going to say, I'm done. I'm done judging. It's time to forgive. That to me is vulnerable. Forgiveness is vulnerable. Because all you're bringing to the situation is innocence. I trust that you are innocent. I trust that I am innocent. Therefore, I forgive. And I let God, whatever I consider that to be the one that sorts this out in some mysterious way. And it does, and it works out. Relationships heal, things change because you stop trying to make it work. And you sit back and you trust that thing within you. Does that make sense?
Totally. So different from what the world teaches and the way I've responded most of my life.
And I don't think without, the Way of Mastery, Course in Miracles, the Recognition Sutras, there's been these few books that for me, when I remember reading them for the first time and it dawning on me, like I had no concept. Before that, I had literally had no concept. And I remember reading them, and as I read them, something in me going, this is true, knowing like what I'm hearing is true, like it's true. What the hell would that look like if I applied that to my life? And I remember feeling my ego in me going, oh, hell no. No. These are nice things for us to mentally ascend to and to hold on to other people. We're not going to actually release people. That's insane. We're not going to do that. But over time, as you continue to read and you continue to realize, you find the courage to actually put it into practice, and then you start to see the fruit of it. And it's like a course correction over time. It allows us to change the course of the mind, nurture that part of our mind that I believe is completely divine, and allow our mind to come into contact with what we really are, and for the mind to fully go, I'm totally safe. I'm totally loved. I'm totally forgiven. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. My favorite prayer that I ever heard was, God, for all that has been, thank you. And for all that shall be, yes. I believe whatever you want to call God. I know this. I say I believe, but it's something in me that knows it. I believe beliefs are helpful, but I believe beliefs, just like forgiveness, end at some point in your life. That it's God, whatever you want to call it, that's walked us through all of this. From Putin to Trump to whoever your great example of the ego is, what's inspiring all that is God within them. God's walking them through the dream. He's walking them through the ego's idea of itself, fulfilling every whim and every desire of their heart until they come to a place where they realize nothing, absolutely nothing can change what I am. Nothing.
So, but what about somebody who dies in that energy? They come back to...
That's what I believe. I believe that we're bound to this dimension, to this plane of existence, until we fulfill the desire we have for being here. It's just like when you dream at night, Your eyes are closed, your body's not moving, and yet you're having the full experience of being somewhere in time and having characters. So that shows you how powerful the mind is. So I believe our minds are antennas. The brain is an antenna that's connected to the mind, which to me is a universal conscious thing like neurons in our mind, the entire universe is like that. And you consider yourself in some sense like a cell within a giant collective that's equal to everything and equal to the source. And you're on a journey. You're going through a course. And the whole time you're safe, you're loved, you're held, and you're given the opportunity to experience the absence of feeling safe and held and loved. That you can choose to come into dimensions and places where it seems that all has been lost. But you can only be there you can't stay there forever. You can only stay there for as long as it's genuinely, even the person in total hell, it's genuinely interesting to them because they've proven to themselves that God doesn't love them. Look, I'm in hell. God doesn't love me. Look what I've done so much that God had to put me here. All the time not realizing they're the one holding themselves in there. God has nothing to do with it. But it's because they refuse to forgive that they're in hell. But that's their hell. Their judgment is their hell. My judgment is my hell. So this can be, to me, this can be a heavenly place when I truly have experienced being forgiven. And I believe we're unconsciously attracted to this kind of drama until it runs its course on us and we forgive ourselves for all of this. And I believe when we're getting ready to be done with this experiment, we become truly helpful to our brothers and sisters around us because we're not interfering any longer. We're truly saying, I love you because I am loved. I trust you because I am trusted. I forgive you because I am forgiven. The great privilege of the forgiven is to forgive. That is a privilege. To forgive is the privilege of the forgiven. How can I forgive you if I don't feel forgiven? And how can I feel forgiven if I don't choose to forgive? But you have to come to the place where you're willing, because you've tried it, you've done it. Forgiving isn't what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to forgive. Jesus didn't say, you're supposed to forgive and you will be forgiven. You know, it's quoted, forgive and you're forgiven. Judge and you're judged. Who decides whether or not you're forgiven? You do. You accept that you are, therefore you do. When you say you are not, you do not. It's that simple to me. But you can't get there until you've been honest with your judgments and judged honestly. I hate these people. I got to that place. To me, I was judging everyone out loud. Somebody said something to me, I'd be like, that's stupid. And here's why. And they look at me like, who do you think you are? I am God's gift to you because I know what you should be doing. Don't you know what I've read? Don't you know what I've studied? Mm-hmm. I'm so full of myself. I'm so convinced that vulnerability and honesty will lead to my demise, that I'm going to make you be vulnerable and I'm going to be very honest about where I think you're at in order for you to feel that way, but not me. And that was for me, that was my last attempt to escape my dream of hell. And it didn't work, thank God. I'd be trapped in that, I could be trapped in that persona, that character, the rest of my life, trying to keep that up.